Continuing on with the theme of mythquakes, in this episode I want to emphasise that mythquakes aren't necessarily bad. In fact, very often a mythquake presents us with a very real opportunity. I want to reprise first that a myth is an assumption which has been either unverified or untested. And a mythquake occurs when our assumption meets up with reality and has a conflict with reality. We've also got a mythquake scale that allows us to measure the potential severity or potential impact of mythquakes. And also I want to look at the idea of mythquake preparedness, that mythquakes can actually be good. First point here is that risk and opportunity are always flip sides of each other. Whenever we have a risk, there's always an opportunity. Whenever there's an opportunity, there's always a risk. We need to always look at them as a balanced pair. So whenever we look at a mythquake, we're looking for the opportunity in there as well as the risk. In fact, we can look at it in terms of comedy versus tragedy. Comedy arises from mythquakes seen as opportunity. A lot of humour, for example, depends on a clash of assumptions. Tragedy arises when people refuse to face the mythquake, when they refuse to face the implications of a clash between their assumptions and reality. And the refusal also intensifies the potential of the mythquake. Every time we refuse to look at a mythquake, we increase the risk. We increase the level of the impact that it can have. Now, where we want mythquakes are in things like skills development. We need to present and resolve a mythquake that allows us to shift from I can't to I can. We have a clash between the assumption of I can't, creating I can. We also want mythquakes to help us to break out of stuckness. I can't do this, I can't move forward. A mythquake occurs whenever we discover that we can move forward. This is something that we want to happen. So we need to be able to challenge our own assumptions, create our own mythquakes in order to move forward. We want to open up new possibilities, new opportunities. Every risk of a mythquake also implies an opportunity, but we also want to test for risk rather than simply running headlong into the mythquake, because every opportunity provides a risk or implies a risk. So we need to see mythquakes not just as something bad, but actually something that helps us a lot. Something that helps us break our assumptions is often very useful indeed.